Hey everyone, I'm Mike from Regala Photography, where we talk about everything photography. Today we are going to really improve your autumn photos. I have 5 ultimate tips that'll help make your autumn photos pop. Let's get to it. All right, so we have 5 tips that are going to really help you improve your autumn photos. Okay. We're going to be using different tools throughout Lightroom, and we're going to kind of do it or I guess for lack of a better term, proactively, meaning the first photo I do will have just the first tip. Then the second photo will have the first tip and the second tip. And then so on. We'll keep adding the previous tips onto the photo, so it will kind of show you how they all work together to make your autumn photos pop. Okay. So the first one we are going to work on is profiles. Okay. Now, I'm not talking custom profiles here. I'm talking about profiles that come with Adobe Lightroom. Okay, and this is Adobe Lightroom Classic 13. So these are the profiles that come with Adobe Lightroom. The only exception would be your camera specific profiles. Okay, every camera, you can get your profiles and add them to Adobe Lightroom. And I strongly suggest you do, because they definitely can come in handy. Okay, so first one here, we're going to go into your basic panel, and there's 2 ways you can get to your profiles. Right here where it says profile, you have basically your favorites. Okay. And these are all the ones you're going to use the most. As you can see, I have my linear profiles. If you get a chance, I did a video. I'll post a link up top here and in the description, showing you how to make a linear profile. Again, a must-have profile to keep in your repertoire of tools in Lightroom. And also too, all these profiles are also in Adobe Camera Raw as well. So anyway, that's one way to get to your profiles. The other way is to come over here to this little grid, click on that, and you can see all your profiles here. Now you can see I have, these are my Adobe Camera Raw profiles. All my favorites are up here actually. Adobe Camera Raw. And again, those 2 are the ones that show in your favorites. Here are camera matching. I also have my profiles that I've added in. So here I have one for my infrared photos. I have MLUT by Motion VFX. They are they make plugins for Final Cut Pro. So the LUTs are used mostly for video, but they can also be used on photos as well. And then this is just some various different LUTs profiles that I have installed here. And then down here, okay, and again, you're not going to have some of these in here, okay? You're not going to have the MLUT, you're not going to have the color swap or anything like that. That you're not going to have, okay? Also, these right here, you're not going to have. But down here, artistic, you will have these. And you can see if you put it in grid, like you can list them if you want to, but you can still do it this way too if you want to. I like doing it in the grid format. And then hover your cursor over the top and you can see what it will do to your photo. Now for this particular photo, I'm going to pick Artistic 3. Okay. And you could see that if I reset the photo, you can see the difference. So there's before, and then let me go back into here and let me put 3 on. Okay, you can see the difference right there. Okay, and that is before. You usually do your profiles before you do any edits whatsoever. Okay, now if you want to, once you click your profile, you can try to see what Adobe would do. So you can click auto, and I mean, it's not too bad. It's a decent start. I probably would lower my exposure a little bit. Okay. Lower my shadows a little bit. My blacks. I might cool it off just a tad. Oh, not too much. I'll cool it off just a little bit. And I mean, look at that. You got a pretty good start just by 2 clicks right there with just finding the right profile. Okay. So there's tip number 1, using profiles. Okay. Tip number 2. Okay. I already have settings done. I've actually this particular one, I used my linear profile on this one. I thought that one would work best. Okay. And then I have my settings. I actually clicked auto and then kind of tweaked them a little bit. And then I have details done. I have my sharpening done. And that's all I have done. Okay. So now I'm going to come over to the calibration tab. Calibration is, I used to be afraid of it, and so many people, because they don't understand it. It's a very, very helpful, and it's a misunderstood tool. I used to think that it actually calibrated the camera settings, which in a sense it does. Okay. But it calibrates the color using your red, blues, and greens. Okay. So you have your red primary, your green primary, and your blue primary. So we're going to come actually to the bottom, and I'm going to take my saturation first, and I'm going to see, okay, that one, it comes over too yellowish. So let me see if I go over this way. Not too bad, but I would probably do a lot less saturation on that. Matter of fact, let me bring it up just a little bit. And you're going to think, well, my gosh, that didn't do anything yet. Well, just give it time here. Okay. Now we're going to come up to the top here. And you don't have to do it in this order. Because of the blue sky, I decided to go with the blue primary first. Okay. So I'm going to come on over here, and I'm going to go with the hue. And if I go this way, you can see it's kind of adding a little more. It's adding magenta. Okay. But it's tweaking. It's making the reds a little bit more dominant. Okay. And again, I can saturate it if I want to, and I'll do it a little bit. And now I can come to the green primary. And if I go towards the yellows, okay, you can see it's going to make it look a little yellowish green. If I go towards the green, it kind of brings out the maroons quite a bit. Okay. Now, if you just take that right there and then combine it in your color mixer and go to the mixer tab and go on luminance here, I can sit here and I can take my yellows, brighten them up. I can brighten my oranges up. Okay. I can brighten my greens, and I can brighten my reds a little bit, and then just add some saturation for all those. A little bit more red into that, a little more yellow, and green, depending on what you want to do. You can add some green or you can take them away. I mean, again, that's just with having your profile all set and then the calibration tab. Now, obviously, this would not be my finished photo. I would tweak and do masks and some of the other tricks that I'm going to show you in a minute. None of these are really a one-trick pony. Okay. So you're going to combine them all. All right. So right there, that is the calibration panel. Okay. For this next one, again, I have the first 2 tools plus basic edits all set and ready to go. I got my exposure set in the basic panel along with my profile. And, this photo was taken definitely not at peak color up here in Rochester, New York. So there's still some green on the trees here, but we can kind of change that, because right now we're going to go into the color mixer, Okay. So with the color mixer, I'm going to use the HSL/color panel first. Okay. So we're going to go to the hues, and I am going to take my oranges and I'm going to kind of make them go a little bit more towards the red. Yellows. Oh, let's see. We're going to actually keep the yellows right there. Greens. Let me see. We're going to make them a little bit more yellowish. Okay. We want to keep some green in there. Aqua. I don't think there's any aqua. There's some aquas in there. So We can take it over to the blue. And actually, you know what? That looks a lot better than going over that way. So I'm going to go over more towards the blue. Blues, go towards aqua. See, that's not really going to do much. And then purples, nothing. And then the magenta is definitely going to be doing something. Should be. So not a lot, but it's doing a little bit. Okay. Then I'll come on over to saturation. I'm going to up my oranges a little bit. I'm going to up my yellows a little bit. You'll see why in a minute. Okay. Greens, I'm actually going to drop them down a little bit. You know, kind of fade them a little bit. And the rest of them I'm going to leave as is. If I take them, I probably could take them right out here. Let me see. Purples. I don't know about magenta though. Now I want to actually kind of put the magenta up a little bit. And I'm going to leave a little bit of purple and I'm going to leave a little bit of blue. Okay. The rest of them we'll get rid of. Or we'll go up a little bit, I should say. So we're going to actually go up a little bit more with the yellows, and we're going to go up more with the oranges. And actually, you know what? I'm going to make the reds pop a little bit. And here we go. This is why. Luminance tab. We're going to brighten them up a little bit. And when you brighten them, they kind of fade a little bit. So the oranges, we're going to make them brighten up a little bit. And then the yellows, make them pop a little bit. Greens, let me see. I want to kind of drop them down a little bit. I want to kind of fade them into the background a little bit there. And you could see that if you just by using the HSL color panel, there's before, there's after, just with that. Okay. Now what you can do is you can fine tune all that by using point color. And I have a video up here. I'll post a link that explains point color into more detail. Okay. So what I do is take my eyedropper. And let me see, I am going to make these reds right here kind of pop a little bit more. So I think now you can use up here, you can move out around, and this is your, let me see, that's your hue saturation. Or no, that's your saturation. And then this is your hue. Okay. So I'm going to actually get that back to where it was. But I'm going to use the sliders only because there's just a little bit more control. Over here, this is your luminance. This one you can use, I mean, this one's a little bit more, you have a little more control because it's only up and down. But I'm going to saturate those reds a little bit more. See how they kind of come up. Now you do got to be careful a little bit, but at the same time, if I brighten them up, it makes them pop, but at the same time, it tones down that saturation. Now I can also take my range and I can move it around where I'll raise it and lower it. Like here, I want to focus more just on the reds. And then here, I can move this. And you can see just very faintly how it's changing the photo ever so slightly. And again, I love that it's just not, it's not so aggressive where if I just move it a little bit, all of a sudden it's like, boom, I got all this color or no color. You know, again, saturation, same thing. I can only affect certain ranges in that area. And then same thing with the brightness. Okay. And, you know, you can play around with the amount as well. Here, you can take the range and lower it down, etc. But we're going to do that right there. And then what I'm going to do is take my eyedropper. And that's the cool thing about this point color is that I can come on in and I can find another color. I can do as many as I want. And what I want to do, maybe I want to saturate that a little bit. I want to bring I don't want to go down too dark though. Yeah, we're going to come up a little bit there. We want that. And then we're going to come on over just a tiny bit more to that right there. And I'm not going to mess with any of the ranges or anything like that. And, you know, we'll do one more color because these colors over here are kind of bothering me. Oh, we'll go right here. So I want to make this a little bit more orangish. No, I don't want to go orangey. So, and I don't want to go green. So we want to kind of keep them right in the yellow range though. So what I want to do is, there we go. See how that, yeah, that definitely works. So that's going to move like that. And let me see, let me take this, move this over. And move this one over just a little bit. right there. I think that'll work. And then right there, and then we're just gonna, oh, we're gonna work on more over here. Okay, oops. There we go. Now I'm going to desaturate that just a little bit, but I'm going to make it brighter. Okay. And again, that kind of makes those yellows just, they stand out a little bit more. And again, you can go up to 8 swatches here. And then if you do need to do more, you can actually add a mask, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. You can add a mask and then fine tune even more and add 8 more. And then for every mask you add, you can get 8 more swatches of color with the point color. So if you take this, turn it off and on, and that's just with one module. So color mixer. Okay, this next one is basically split. It used to be called split toning, and then they changed it over to color grading. Color grading. If you ever do any video work, you do something called color grading, where you tweak the colors in the shadows, in the midtones, and also in the highlights, and you can fine tune them that way. So for this particular photo, I am going to click on the shadows first. And what I want to do, see, you can use this right here. I always find this a little more clumsier. A lot of people like using the ball right here, the circle, but I like using the sliders. I just hit fine. I have a little bit more control. So I want a blue in here because, shadows tend to be a little bit bluer. And I think this photo is a little bit too warm, and I could go over and I could cool it off, but then it'll cool off like everything. So I'm going to add some saturation, and you can see, like, look at the tree trunk. You can see, like, if I come back here and I go back here, the tree trunk is a little more natural looking now. Okay. So it's a little bit bluer, and it kind of toned down that warmth. Okay. And then with the luminance, if you want to raise it up, you can, but usually in the shadows, you want to lower it down. And you can kind of see it adds a little bit of contrast too. So I really, really like that. Now, I usually skip over the midtones first, and I go right to the highlights. And with the highlights, I like to do a little bit of warmth. So we're going to go like an orangish yellow, like right around there. And then we're going to add some saturation like that. And then with the midtones, I can brighten it up, or I can go lower. I'm going to go bright a little. Actually going to go bright quite a bit here. And then with the midtones, I could come in and see, oh, what does this need? So it's still kind of warm, but I'm going to go more towards cooling it off just a tad. And this is globally. So you can see if I go this way, it's cooling it off. Okay. It's not, it really was actually, this photo was shot at around 11:30, 12 o'clock. So it really wouldn't be that warm. So I want to add a little bit more blue, but this is globally, but it's not really like affecting the sky as much. It is, but we can fix that too, which I kind of already did. And now I can take the luminance and I can brighten up my photo too. So now you can see that, or if I take that module, there's before, see how warm it was, and then after, it looks more realistic. Okay. And if I want to combine this with the color mixer, I already kind of used the color in the sky here, and I want to kind of lower that just a little bit more, and I want to brighten it a little bit more. I don't want it too much in the sky. I was looking a little too dark. So again, if you take this one over here, the color grading, there's before and there's after. Okay. So it did a great job. And again, this is all on top of all the other tips I've done so far. So all the tips are being used all at once on this photo. So there you have it. Color grading. The fifth and final tip is masks. Now, I've done some videos before. Again, I'll post the link in the description or up top of different tricks you can use for masks, different ways to use masks. Okay. Now, again, this photo, I've used the previous 4 tips on it. So again, if I come over, and I always forget where that is, the button is, but there's before and there's after. And that's just the basic tab. Okay. So you can see that this photo, it looks pretty good as it is right now, but I want to add some masks. So I'm going to come up here to this circle right here. I'm going to add masks. So the first mask I want to add is a radial. My last video, I did a whole video on radial filters. Again, I'll put that in the description as well. Radial filters are, I tell you, that's probably the best filter in Lightroom and Adobe Camera Raw. It's an amazing filter what you can do with it. So I'm just going to make a radial mask right there. And I'm going to kind of take the feather down a little bit. And I might have to make it a little bit smaller, but we'll see in a minute. So I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. I am going to open up my whites. I'm going to bring the blacks down, add the contrast. Shadows, same thing. Add some shadows in there. Highlights too, because even though I'm brightening it up, I want to bring the highlights down because I don't want to blow it all out. Now I'm going to add a little bit of warmth, and you can see the difference right there. Just that little bit of warmth. It's amazing. I'm gonna, let me see, try to desaturate that a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna desaturate that just a little bit there. Okay. Come down here to, I'm gonna add some texture, not a lot, but I'm gonna take away the clarity. Okay. And what I also want to do is I want to do some negative dehaze, not a ton, because I'm not going crazy. But again, because you're looking out in the distance, it would be faded a little bit. So I want to take and make this a little bit smaller and a little bit narrower. And I'm going to angle it a little bit like that. Okay. And again, just that one mask, go before and then after. Okay. Now I'm going to take another mask. And again, that was just using the basic tab in there. Okay. Now, if I want to, I could come on in here and I could find a color I want to tweak. And I want to tweak those reds a little bit. And I want to kind of, let me see, I want to saturate them a little bit more, make them pop, brighten them up just to, yeah, right about there. Okay. And then the same thing with the yellows. Let me see, find some good yellows right there. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to saturate them a little bit and then brighten them up. All right. Just like that. And you know what? I want to bring those greens out of there kind of. So let me see. Let me find the green right there. Okay. So I want to kind of take the saturation down on those. And again, it's only affecting inside the mask. Okay. And now you can see it made that whole area right there pop. All right. Now we're going to do another mask. I'm going to do a linear gradient and kind of create, it's almost like a vignette kind of. But we'll work with vignettes later. But I want to darken this foreground a little bit here. So let's come on over here, kind of darken that up a little bit. Okay. And then we want to come on over to the clarity, bring that down a little bit. Blacks, do I want to mess with the blacks? A little bit. But I want to compensate by bringing up some whites because I don't want it completely looking like it's dark. Okay. So I think that's all I'm going to do right there. I might actually bring the shadows down a little bit on that one. All right. And now we're going to kind of do the same thing on the other side, linear gradient, and kind of bring that up a little bit. And that one might come a little bit higher. All right. And then bring that exposure down. And not too much. Bring the blacks down, but then also bring the whites up to kind of compensate. And I'm going to kind of leave that one as is right there. Okay. All right. Now I want to add another radial gradient and use it in a little bit different way. So radial gradient. And right here, you see these highlights right here? Well, I want to kind of expand on those a little bit. So I'm going to kind of take a narrow radial gradient like that. And I'm going to kind of move it over here and then tilt the angle of it a little bit more. Okay. Expand it out just a bit. All right. And then I'm going to brighten it up just a little bit there. Add some warmth. A little bit of tint. And even just that little bit. Okay. But again, I'll come on into my color picker. And let me go with, oh, where's a good color here? Right there. All right, so I want to saturate that yellow just a little bit more. There we go. We're going to brighten it up a little bit. We're going to make it a little bit more orangey. Is orangey a word? And I'm looking at this. I'm like, you know what? I want to make this just a little bit bigger. So now what I could do, a little bit different, change the angle of this like that. Okay. And we'll go over here and then we're going to tilt that again. And you could see now I can come on back over here and I'll add some whites. And now we've extended this glow, but you can see it's faded because it's really, really bright out here in the sun. Then as you're kind of slowly coming into the trees, it's fading out a little bit. And I can even feather that a bit more to make it look a little bit more natural. Okay. And if I want to, I can increase the amount. That's the cool thing with the masks. So I can increase the amount if I want to, or I can bring it back down to where it was there. And like that. Okay. So now, whoa, one more mask. And again, I showed you this in my radial mask video. I do this with, I'd say about 99% of my photos. I will take a gradient mask, come out here toward the center, kind of make it about the size of the photo and center it. And then let me see here. Let's move it out a little bit this way. Come on over here to invert. Click the invert button. Now I'm going to a little less feather on this right now. Okay. And I am going to lower and create a vignette. Okay. And I'm going to actually maybe make it a little bit bluer. Just a little bit, just the temperature. Okay. Because again, you don't want to warm. Well, actually with this particular photo, it actually looks pretty good when you go warmer because if you see the highlights right up over in here, they kind of brighten up a little bit. So I kind of like that actually. And then I'm going to actually increase my shadows. Nope, don't want to go too much there. So just a little bit. So those trees, you can kind of still see the trees a little bit. All right. And then usually I always do these together. I already have a radio filter here and one over here. Okay. So I'm going to try. Usually when I do the vignette, I always do a double radio filter. And I do a smaller one in the center. Okay. Just like that. And for this particular one, we're going to bring it over kind of like that. All right. And I'm going to definitely increase the feather on this one. This one I am not going to invert. And I'm going to brighten it up just a little bit. Bring those highlights down. There we go. Increase the whites. And again, just that filter right there is before. Is it showing it here? Oh, okay, there we go. Before, and there it is after, okay? And I'm going to actually brighten it up just a little bit more. And we're going to actually make it a little bit warmer. Fifth tip, masks. Now you have 5 tips to help improve your autumn photos. Well, there you have it. 5 ultimate Lightroom tips to help make your autumn photos really pop. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button and that subscribe button. They really do help. Ring that bell if you want to be notified when my next video is posted. Until next time, take care, everyone.